Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Good morning, Steve. Welcome, everybody, to On-Chain Nation. I'm your host, Steve.
I'm also Steve Clouds, coming to you. Y'all might remember me from earlier in the year. We did a couple episodes a few months back, and I was on them. And then we got a little busy. We got a little distracted. We built some servers.
Yeah, where'd you go, Steve? You were busy doing fun stuff?
Just Saturday work. Just a lot of running a company and very demanding people, demanding schedule, and mouths to feed.
Very important person.
Yeah, the big guy.
I'm glad that we have you here today, joining us.
Good to be back.
Me and you and our friend David on the ones and twos in the background. We got this lovely grass for touching beneath us. Ooh,
I like that. I like that. This is the closest I've been to outside in about 2 weeks. It's too hot. Much too hot.
Living in the bunker, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no. Well, I was away, but we were still doing stuff. We were still setting up servers. I think last time I was on, we were talking about frustrations I was having with the Dell 720 dual core 192 gig of RAM setup that I'm building that to run relayers on, which I finally got that all situated, which has been good. It's working great. I've got like a couple different customers that we're working with.
You really had a deep dive into this relayer world, haven't you? I know we've all been watching you late at night, cursing to the Proxmox gods, following along with trepidation and common sense not to do it ourselves. But
yeah, it's interesting, right? Because you start, the more you dive into it, and you realize that the relayer is like, there's the potential for the XNS network and for partners to put together these tool sets that do everything that these other cloud providers do already. And XNS pretty much just gives you the resources and the hard drives and the ability to get into that storage, is what you're doing with the relayer. So like, if you go on GitHub or something and you just search S3, there's already all these tool sets out there that are kind of plug and play, drop in. So yeah, there's a lot of, you start kind of pulling the string and unraveling this whole thing. And you start seeing the potential, and you start seeing the ideas. And
so what you're saying here is that all these utilities and all these mechanisms have been built for the big clouds, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But the big cloud doesn't let you play along. The big cloud just wants you to pay them, right?
Big cloud kind of forces you in to use their service, right? And we talked about this a little bit the other day. Like, you use Gmail or something, and you already have storage built in through Google. Well, you get to a certain point where they're like, hey, you're running out of storage, you need to buy some more. They don't give you the option to say, to enter in an S3 endpoint or to use local storage or to use your own server. You're tied in that you have to use the Google Cloud product.
You got to delete or you got to manage. It's like Dropbox is always telling you, hey, you're almost full. Do you want to pay for the next plan?
Yeah, exactly. And it's either you cut the service or you use their service. There's none of this open-ended options like you have with XNS. And there's a couple companies out there maybe that kind of give you some options, but not many.
Well, that's when we got to shift. You got to shift from like using software as a service, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, using these closed clouds, these walled gardens of your Apple account does it, and your Gmail account does it, and I saw Microsoft's going to start doing it for your Office 360, and those are great because you download a thing and it runs, and you can share a link, and anybody can use it. But
mm-hmm.
you're capped, and they know. Like Google wants you to buy Enterprise for your Gmail, and Amazon and Microsoft wants you to pay for the whole Office to use the suite, and
right.
Adobe wants you to put your stuff on their cloud. But
which is Yeah, which is a great business model. I mean, you can't. It is a convenient thing to have one service provider, and you go into their console, and they have, they have your VMs, they have your Kubernetes, they have your, your cloud, they have everything right there, all within that one. Within that
Right, and
one
they solve
company.
all those problems for you, right?
Right. Exactly.
They solve the getting it set up and making it work and having file sync, but then you have to pay for that, right? Anyways, that leaves us with the value of what all these S3 apps and all these external clouds can provide, except our favorite XNS over here is a opportunity to, one, you can pay a lot less, and two, if you stick your hand between the payee and the payor, you can catch some coins along the way, right?
Yeah, no, big time. There's a huge earning potential with this thing, and this is just the ground floor, I think, where we're at with the storage. I was sitting there thinking this morning, like, because I'm signed up. I signed up. What I did was I signed up for a bunch of these other service providers too, right? Just to trial the
Yeah, we
products.
were talking about this.
Yeah, see the dashboards, all this kind of stuff. So, like with Google Cloud, for instance, you can spin up a VM, like I was just saying. Well, who's to say that down the line, we have this network built up right now of storage providers. There's already been talks, and I think it's already kind of in the roadmap with like the Examiner Extreme, or even just DIY individuals donating GPU, CPU, and full compute resources to the network, right? So then you would be able to, as a client, be able to set up these little droplets, these little VM instances on a distributed network. And guess what? Within those VM instances, you could spin up storage relayers. So then all of a sudden, you have this contained thing that's all distributed compute, distributed cloud, and the whole thing is ran off of an independent network of hundreds of
Well,
thousands of people.
right. As I see it, as I understand it, hosting data is one. It's the biggest potential for growth, but two, it's also to run compute, you need some resources, and that can come later. So right now it's been built I don't want to call it static, but it's nice because it can be, the Examiner can just sit there. The Examiner is a repository.
Right.
It rests and it waits, and that's how networks work, and that's how the network effect works. You start and you grow and you become useful, and then when you've taken a presence and you become a part of it, then your presence becomes more meaningful and people can use you in new ways and add-ons can happen. Absolutely. Yeah. So you've got your relayer running, and that's one component. And we're getting a bit inception about putting relayers on computes on the network.
Right. And this is just how I think about things. You look at potentials and you look at
Totally.
I'm kind of learning about all this stuff as I'm doing this research. I don't necessarily have a background using Wasabi or Google Cloud. I've never touched the stuff before. So, and same goes for VMs, same goes for Kubernetes. I'm learning all this stuff as I'm trying to break it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. I can show off a little bit if you guys want.
Yeah, let's go over. Look at some stuff.
Kind of how I have, David. I've got some feedback for some reason. I don't know where that's coming from.
What's this sexy looking screen? Wow.
So yeah, this is it's gonna drive me nuts. Hold on. Oh, it's coming from Jeff's mic. Figures. Yeah, so it's not a whole lot to look at. But basically what this is Proxmox. This is what I have set up on the Dell 720 server. And basically what it is it's they call it a hypervisor. It's a way to manage VMs, delegate resources to those VMs, install operating systems on those VMs, and it just makes it, because these servers like this, they have a lot more compute than you need for just one instance or one operating system, right? So it doesn't necessarily make sense to load up Windows 10 and have 1.5 terabytes of RAM dedicated to one Windows service. And what this allows me to do, like you can see right here, I've got a Linux Ubuntu VM that's spun up here. It's as easy as I click play and it runs it. If I hit stop, it stops it. It has a little console button right here, and that connects me to the actual interface. And I can go in. I can do, it functions just as it's just a small computer running inside of another computer. And I kind of fought against this for a while because it was a bit of a hassle to set up the Proxmox. I was being stubborn and trying to do it my own way, but after I kind of got used to it and figured out how to use the interface and how to set stuff up, it's actually a very useful tool set. So I've got a VM there. That's relayer. That just, I set it for the relayer and then I don't touch it because I don't want to break anything. I want it to, just have those resources dedicated to relayer. I set up another one here. This runs my own cloud instance. It's another thing, just another Ubuntu server. But yeah, it's been there's a little bit of a learning curve to it, but it's been pretty reliable once I worked out all the kinks.
I mean, and I guess the classic MSP type, the person who's doing this existing already knows all this stuff. This is what the IT department does, and
100%.
And this is pushing the limits of what a plug and play is, of course, but this is an essential part of what the relayer needs to run, right? The relayer needs resources, and learning how to do it. It's a great thing you're doing over there. So
yeah, and learning how to set them up. And what's cool about it too is I can clone each independent VM. So say I need to spin up a second relayer for a different client. I can just clone that existing setup that I have. It carries over all of the Docker Compose, all of the files that are necessary, and it's pretty much ready to run. Yeah, so there's that, and then I've also been, so with the relayer, what I've been doing with it primarily is I have a couple companies that I work with that are either partners of mine or that I know through friends that they've allowed me to kind of set them up on a trial basis to back up all their workstations, and to back up small servers. It's not a crazy amount of data. What I've been using to do that is Cloudberry. So I've got Cloudberry installed at their offices that pin back to this relayer address. And then I've got Cloudberry running here at my house. And another thing, so
Cloudberry is an S3 backup app, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's just an application layer that sits on top of.
And you can schedule. You can schedule happenings and all that stuff. Is that how?
Yep. You can do scheduled backups. So if you see right here, you can do local to cloud, or you can do cloud to cloud, or you can restore from cloud to local. And yeah, each one of these little tabs here is basically a different backup plan. So you set what directories you want to back up. Those can be either local or remote. You set your encryption type. You set how much redundancy you want and compression, and then you can also schedule it. So like, I made one mistake when I originally set these clients up where I had all of the workstations set to back up at the same time exactly, and it got very resource hungry on the relayer because
I can imagine
you have 6 or 7 different computers trying to hit it at the same time with backup. So I figured out pretty quickly that you can schedule it to where they're staggered. But it's been working flawlessly, honestly. Every day at a certain time, it checks their system and copies over anything that wasn't already on XNS.
That's great. And this is right. This is the baseline level of what a small business can be doing for maintaining their data integrity, right?
Yeah, I think this is probably, Cloudberry compared to some of the other softwares that are out there, I think this is like pretty introductory level. But it's something that I was comfortable with. You know what I mean? It's something that I was able to get my hands on. There is a free version of it, which is obviously nice. So if anybody out there wants to try it, Relayer's free, Cloudberry's free, and you can kind of take it for a spin. Um, it's not as powerful as Veeam because Veeam is designed to handle a lot more customers, a lot more workflow. But it's been, as for starting out, it's been a really good tool. And another really cool feature is that I don't know if you can see these other bookmarks. So like I said, I've got trial accounts with Wasabi, I've got trial accounts with Backblaze, and I've got Google Cloud. So you can actually set up a cloud to cloud bookmark where I can put in someone's Wasabi credentials, and then I can put in the Relayer endpoint and credentials, and I can fire straight from their Wasabi into the Relayer. So say somebody's wanting to switch their provider, it's as easy as putting in a few credentials and then hitting the play button, and all their data moves over.
That's good to know. That's really, it sounds like a really useful little shortcut instead of downloading all that crap and moving it over and sending it back up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that looks like something worth checking out. I read a key, and it's a thing that I don't know if everybody thinks about, and I know it talks in the backup industry, the backup world, about 3-2-1, the 3-2-1 rule of 3 copies, 2 of which are local and 1 of which is off-site. And I really think that that's a thing that maybe people don't think about in this, especially in the small medium enterprise world. The mom and pop shop. They got a copy of it somewhere else, but do they have a safe copy?
Exactly. Something offsite. I mean, even if you have 2 copies locally, I mean, you're talking about failure of just 2 machines and your
one meteor strike or
even some people, they'll have a server. If you have a server with a 16 terabyte hard drive and that's your backup, you lose that one drive and you're toasted. And a lot of people that aren't if you don't know what you don't know. So if you're not kind of in this world and a tech savvy person, which a lot of these clients that I'm working with right now, they're
right. Like
perfectly.
There's catastrophic like a fire, but there's also just hard drives die.
Yeah. 100%.
And there's also, leave your laptop in the taxi cab kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like, where'd it go? Where'd all the work go?
Yeah.
And that's what Google and Apple and everybody wants to sell you with these, and Dropbox, right? Mm-hmm. But this is the internet, and we do things our own way, and we want to, and it works for 10 gigs. It doesn't work for 10 terabytes.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is that the big archival backups, it's kind of a different beast than these daily workflows of cloud and backup. But with our thing with XNS, it functions in both worlds. Is what's cool about it. It's all dependent on obviously your connection speed, what kind of resources you can throw at it, and it's also dependent on the app set that you choose, right? So you can use it as a file share, or you can obviously do the long-term archival storage. You got to give it some more time to, obviously 10 terabytes. It's going to take you a little bit to get that push to the network, but
if you're not backing up, you should be backing up. And if you are backing up and you're paying too much money for it, then you should be reconsidering how much money you pay for it. And if this is controlling the data, right? That's the thing we talk about lots. This is being in control of your data, being knowing it's safe, and not getting charged left, right, and center for accessing it, right?
Right. Paying $20-$25 per terabyte for storage, plus any other fees that come along with.
Yeah, we were talking about pricing versus XNS prices versus, everyone always wants to get upset about wasabi prices and say, but wasabi's cheaper. Guess what? They just announced that end of the month or end of next month, it's going $6.99 for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And
That.
I mean, it's not a real number, right? $6.99 is not the bottom line. We were digging into that. There's so much obfuscation in these pricing. Like Wasabi says you get free egress, but you don't get more egress than you have stored. If you have 5 terabytes stored, you only have 5 terabytes of egress for free. And they charge you.
After that, you're getting charged for every gig of access.
Right. And so that's fine if you're just putting and backing up, right? But what if you're working, what if it's part of your workflow? Mm-hmm. You back up videos, files, you pull them back down to edit them, you push them back up again.
You're paying a lot pretty quickly.
Right. And it's shady. And Wasabi's prices is everything. Every time you want something better, it costs. Oh, well, it's not actually $6.99 for that. Oh, it's not actually. It's actually, this whole thing. Wasabi has a surveillance platform. You can back up your video. Oh, that's $11.99 to back up your video.
Yeah.
Like, how is it? It's shady.
Yeah, it really is.
So, what are we looking at here? This is Wasabi.
Yeah. I was just kind of playing around with some of the other consoles. So this is sort of what you get whenever you sign up for a Wasabi account. This is on a 30-day trial, free trial, blah blah. I think you get 30 gigs for free, and then after that they start billing you. But I kind of wanted to compare this to like what we have in the Relayer console. So you have your bucket creation, which is the equivalent to Minio, right? Is kind of, they just have theirs built into their.
Well, that's kind of the S3 standard, right? Is a bucket. These all things seem to be following that simple Amazon standard of creating a bucket, setting your IAM permissions, right? Mm. That's part of how all these apps work together so well.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's the same thing kind of across the board. Access keys, groups. This is all your IAM stuff.
Yep.
IAM, and then you have your billing page, and it's Google Cloud is a little bit more intensive because they offer all these different services, which I'm going to dive into these a little bit in the coming weeks and just kind of see how the workflow is with them, because this is all potential stuff that XNS I think is going to be doing in the next 1 to 2 years.
Right. That's a big world over there. Yeah. Ooh, I can't read that at all now.
Well, I can't read it when it's zoomed in this far, but I don't know. That's where I've been. That's what I've been doing. That's what I've been working on. Just really diving into the Relayer and finding a lot of potentials and a lot of places to make money on both sides of the network. So I'm hoping to inspire a few folks out there that have been on the fence about setting up a Relayer and trying out everything for themselves. I mean, it's pretty easy to get going.
The Relayer itself is easy. I think what you're really showing us here, it's great to look at those other clouds for the comp. Everybody, all the AWSs and the Oracles and the Azures, all working in that same way.
Yeah. And really, in comparison to Wasabi, what we have here on the XNS dashboard and what's been built on the front end is pretty comparable to what's available on Wasabi, if not a little bit. There might even be a few more features, but with setting like your groups and your policies and all that stuff. So I don't know if you've played around with the cost centers at all in this, but basically you can make different cost centers with XNS where your billing for a particular client gets broken out into an independent invoice, and then you can actually set IAM credentials to that cost center, and the Relayer actually keeps track of all of that billing. I don't know if you've looked at that at all, but that's a feature I'm kind of just starting to figure out. And another thing I wanted to show off real quick, I know Tommy had a question about He was getting an error on his relayer and was asking about setting up the key. So if you go here to your console, you go to keys right here. See, this is where I have my cost center set up. So let me go here. This is the key that you're going to copy over into Hostio auth, and what that does is that's what ties your relayer to your actual billing in the XNS console, and that's just going to be located in your relayer directory.
So that cost center thing that you're seeing there, that's a partner program thing, right? That's not a.
Oh, is it not on all the consoles?
No, I think that's was added when you did a partner program. Well, I'm not 100% sure, but
Yeah.
I believe that wasn't there before, and those are partner portal.
Could be. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe it's just a 2.0. Anyway,
I think it might just be a 2.0 feature because the partner portal's down here below where the keys are, and yeah, not sure. Good question though.
I'm just going to load up mine quick and have a look and see what my partner. Not that I'm sharing my screen with you guys, but I'm still having a little dig around. Yeah, I think because you created cost centers, right? I think that to create cost centers, you have to.
Yeah, maybe that is in the partner portal. You might be right.
Because I haven't created any different cost centers yet. So anyway,
yeah, you're right. It is. You go to the partner portal at the bottom. So
just fuck around, find out, kind of thing.
Exactly. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. We have anything in the YouTube chat? Any questions? Is anybody watching?
Tommy's got 4 keys, but you got to pick which key, Tommy. That's the thing.
Yeah, I would recommend if you're like I was in the beginning and you're spinning up relayers on a bunch of different boxes, as you stop using that relayer, get rid of the key. If you don't plan on going back to it, just go ahead and delete it from the console.
But make sure you know which key it is.
Yeah.
Because I did that before, and once you nuke that key, it's not coming back.
Which I can show you real quick where to find the keys. Let me spin this up. Bop, 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 bop. So if you're doing it regular File Explorer, you'll go Home, and if you follow the setup guide, you'll have a folder called Relayer. It's right there. Relayer data. Configure. Hold on. Data. Meta, there it is. So Meta, then Hostio.
I think it might be a hidden folder, and you might not see it in the browser. You might have to be in the command line there.
Might have to do it in Nano.
Anyways. Tommy can figure it out.
Sure he can.
But like Tommy said, it's all test data, so he's just gonna nuke it.
Yeah.
This is part of where the cost center helps, because then you can tag those keys to users.
Mm-hmm. And actually put notes on which.
That's what I mean. Tag them, with a comment on who they are and what they are.
Yeah. Yeah. What else you got, Jeff? What's been happening? I know we had another fork. I know I've been kind of out of the Discord lately. I saw there was another fork. Was that important?
It wasn't so much a fork as it was a software update to finish the last fork.
Gotcha. The double.
Everybody, 1.8.3 was a mandatory, and I hope you knuckleheads all did it on time. Andy's asking what kind of bandwidth do you have on your relayer? I have like almost a gig of fiber and works pretty good. What do you got there now?
Mine's around 140.
100?
Which is 140 megabits.
Okay.
which it's been working. Like I said, I did run into issues when I had multiple workstations uploading to that or downloading to that at one time.
Yeah.
And my plan with this ultimately was to get this server set up, and then it's going to go live in a colo somewhere. Or I'm just going to rent VM space from a colo and try to run it that way if I can figure out the economics of it. But I haven't, honestly, at 150 is my typical upload. I haven't had too many issues with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a great professional solution, obviously, but you are testing with some data, right? A customer offsite's gonna, especially someone who needs to pull data, not just backup, right?
That's the thing, that the customers that I have right now, all I'm doing is just offsite backup of their existing backups, and pretty much the backup's going to go up to XNS, and they're more than likely not ever going to touch it again for years. It's just they have certain files and documents and plans and stuff that legally they have to hold on to for X number of years, and it's got to live somewhere. So that's why my speeds aren't really.
That's part of what that 321 is, right? Like,
yeah,
the 2 copies on premise are for your using, and the 1 copy offsite is for security.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You can probably kill the screen share, David. I'm sure people are tired of watching me click around to
bring us back to the lawn.
Oh. Yeah, take me to the grass, please.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Oh, so cool and refreshing.
Grass. I feel very small in this scale.
Oh, what's the plan this weekend, Jeff? What else is going on after this episode? I know we're getting.
I got to run off to work. I got to run off to work and do some work. I got
do some work.
You know,
DOTA proof and receipts to file.
No, I don't. Summer Saturdays, you know, no, none of that serious stuff.
Very good.
No, it feels like the middle of summer here, and it's you know, there's a lot of background stuff happening. I know that. The 3 of us had a nice, you know, me and Steven and David had a nice little late night call the other night talking about ideas. It's good to hear that people are working on some partner stuff. Everyone's got some ideas. If anybody out there watching or listening or has questions, you know, not only right now, if you watch this later and you want to talk about scenarios and partner program ideas, you know, get in the Discord. It's really a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff's happening. There's a lot of opportunity here. We are identifying our groups. I got my my IP camera equipment just arrived this week.
Oh, cool!
I started to make some network cables, and that, you know, proved to be a real.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting use case to see you get that figured out, because obviously a huge industry behind that.
Yeah, I should have just bought some cat network cables pre-built. I don't understand why I decided I needed to wire this myself. But I guess, you know,
that's the degen. It's the degen way. It's
make it harder than it has to be, right?
It's how we do things.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, I think it's good to dive into these things. I'm going to check out Cloudberries.
Look, I think the thing is that we're super early. For those of us that are partners, for those of us that are considering being partners, and I mean, we're so early in the entire build out of the infrastructure. There's a lot. There's the ground floors there, but there's multiple layers that applications, protocols, and workflows can be built, that can be stacked on top of what XNS has put out for us.
Yeah, it's sitting in this place where it's like Web 2.0 and Web 3.0, right? Mm-hmm. Like Web 2.0 is them owning everything, and them being the Bezoses and the Googles and the Apples. And you know, it's done a great job. It's in the past 20 years, it's really been an amazing thing to have changed our lives.
For three companies, it's
Well,
Yeah, and it's done good for the public too. But
yeah, I mean, some people got real rich off it, but that's not the point. But like, we're definitely butting into the edge of how, these closed gardens, these walled gardens, these private clouds, these bill you as you go. It's kind of lost the joy of being a degen and doing it open source. And this project is this thing between 2.0 and 3.0 where you can take all, we're, going on, like you said, going on GitHub and grabbing all these pieces of software, and they're all built to go to another 2.0, right? They're all made to go to Wasabi. They're all made to go to AWS. And that's where this SCP, this XNS is sitting in this 2.75, soon to be 3.0.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Because we still go through the company for billing right now, but that's what's next, right? When it can just become fully peer-to-peer, and it lets everybody take part in this, right?
We're kind of playing in someone else's sandbox right now too. I mean, you can't come in and completely change the rules of the whole game and expect to get those same customers and raise eyebrows of serious clients. If you come in full guns blazing Web 3.0, nobody's going to take you seriously. I don't think so. I think for the stage,
right? Yeah.
I think for the stage that crypto in general is in, and our stage, I think it kind of aligns pretty well with, maybe by the time we're ready for that stateless relayer and permissionless renting and all that, maybe Web 3.0 and will be a little more developed and a little more
I mean, I think that this idea of standing up these endpoints, standing up these relayers on these in these colos and stuff like that, it's a fail point, obviously. It's a singular point of contact, but if there's multiple of them, right, it's more points of contact. So we need to get to the point where your data can be spread across multiple relayers instead of being one and out to the network. But that's what comes, right?
Yeah.
That's where this thing gets built. And we build it, and then we use it, and then we optimize it, and then we change it, and then we keep on growing it.
I think the key out of what you just said is using it. I think unless you really get a relayer running and actually start playing around with some of the stuff and use the network, I don't think you really get a full sense or a full appreciation of what's happened here over the last year and a half, 2 years.
Right.
Because it's 80% of the resources I feel like have gone into the renter protocol, into the relayer. And so unless you actually see the capabilities and kind of understand what it was designed to do and how easily it can be implemented, you're not gonna see the progress, I don't think. So I think,
and all the people who bought X's and show up in the Discord every few months and ask where the data is, this is where the data comes from. It's like the Exa is a parking lot, right? It's a smart parking lot. And you're wondering where, just because you built the parking lot doesn't mean that the cars are going to park in it.
Exactly.
But the relayer is the path to put the cars in the parking lot. And when you can't figure out where it comes from, you're never going to understand. If you're not going to bother to learn where it comes from, you're never going to understand where it comes from, and you're just going to wonder why it's not there. And the more you learn how it gets there, and the more you use it, and the more you try it, and the more you upload your own stuff. Because guess what? We all make content. We all have backups we need. So use it. It's dirt cheap. You get 50 gigs for free and have fun with it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it also kind of crushes the notion of like, oh, nothing's happening. We're not on Binance. There's no marketing. Because I mean, a lot has happened. It's just it's not something that's necessarily in the public's eye, or that a lot of people have kind of caught on to just yet. So
yeah, and I mean, it's always been said that this isn't a crypto project. You know, it's not. This isn't a coin project. This isn't a like. There's a component. It's a part of it, right? Buy some coins and watch them appreciate, but they're going to appreciate when the network's used.
Right.
It's not a fucking. It's not a Pepe. It's not a magical internet money. It's a magical internet business.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Well, I think we're, maybe at the end. I got to get going on starting my day here.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same situation. I had till about 9:15, and we're rolling up on it. Appreciate you guys having me back on again.
Glad to see you again, sir.
It's been a while. We'll try to make it a more frequent thing. And thanks for everybody that watched. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe. If there's any questions, any recommendations, we love feedback, and we love to hear what the community has to think about all this relayer action, all these market comps, all these relayer, all these S3 apps. So let us know what you want to see and what you're interested in.
Yeah, come leave a comment here, or come join the Discord and talk shit, or come ask questions, or keep following this stuff. Next week maybe we'll be a little more goofball-y and a little less command liney, but who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
Both have their values. All right, Steven, I'm gonna go make pizza.
Yep, I'm gonna go make baseboard. David, get us out of here.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Bye, guys. Boop, 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 boop.